Thanks for coming in. So today I think we're going to focus a little bit on, we had talked about last time that we we're going to create a little bit of time to talk a little bit about weight and how that was affecting your life. So thanks for completing the initial check. And so the purpose of this is just for us to get on the same page, and it's a tool to think about your whole health. So by that I mean your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health. And so when I look at this, it looks like there's quite a lot of things going on. So it looks like under emotional life, significant stress and emotional eating because of your mom. And of course I knew her well, so sorry for your loss there. And then that's also been a source of stress with the whole family recently. Sounds like the walking has been more of a problem with regards to your knees and your arthritis. And that's also getting to the point where it's affecting your chores and even being able to do yard work and stuff. And I know you really enjoy taking care of that beautiful yard of yours. And so some stress at work as well. So you're working as an administrative assistant. So at the time that your mom was ill, you had been laid off and you got a new replacement quite quickly, but it's not paying what you had before, so that's causing some challenges. And then you've been sort of concerned a little bit with regards to not getting restful sleep, again, the knee pain, and then just some of those medication side effects that when you had that depression a few years back, and you were put on that antipsychotic medication as well, that it caused some weight gain at that time, which has been tricky to lose. Yeah. So when we think about that whole picture, in terms of where you're at right now with everything, if you were to sort of reflect on things that mean a lot to you with regards to your health, what is the functional thing you'd like to be able to do that you can't do right now?
Well, before my knee was acting up, I was, hoping to do some road cycling to keep active and try and keep some of the weight that I've lost off.
So getting back into more of the cycling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll look into that. That sounds like a big issue. Is there anything else going on right now at the current point that you can think of, or does that kind of capture the general picture of where we're at right now?
Well, like I was saying, I don't know what I can do to keep the weight off, so I'm really concerned about not just going up and down.
So really wanting a sustained solution. I think it would be really helpful to explore that a little bit more in detail. So that's what gets us to this one, which is, as you're alluding to, that journey with your weight, right? And what you can see here is it starts, this is sort of the whole life cycle, and I know right now you're 55. So what I'd like you to do is just think back to as early as makes sense to you, as to when you first noticed that there was a problem with weight and health, and when that showed up, and we'll just kind of map it forward in time a little bit, and we'll think a little bit about the life events that were happening at the different points in time.
Well, I remember when I was in university, I had sleep problems. I didn't have weight problems back then, but I had regular insomnia problems. Regular.
In university.
Yeah, it was untreated. I just persevered. I had dropped out of one semester one time because of a cycle of not being able to sleep at night, and then you finally fall asleep and you miss 2 of your classes in the morning, and then your day starts off.
Okay. Were you having any mental health issues at the time, like any depression or anything bothering you?
Well, I think so. It was undiagnosed, but looking back now, I think that I must have been
Okay, but not totally clear. And at that time, where would you say you were approximately weight-wise?
175.
And pretty stable over those years, hey?
Yeah.
And as a youngster in your teen years, did you also have problems with sleep, or were things better prior to that in high school?
I think my last year of high school was the first time I had an emotional experience breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to that, I just always played a lot of different sports, and everything was easy, and I don't remember any sleep problems before that.
Okay, and good home situation?
Well, no, I moved out early.
Okay, how old were you when you moved out?
I was in grade 9.
Okay, all right. So, and did you stay with family or friends, or?
No, it was actually a friend of the family's, and she ended up driving me to my hockey games. She was the aunt of another player on the team.
Okay, okay. And so that was where you ended up spending some time
Through
with
high
her through high school?
Mhm.
Okay. And were you safe in that environment?
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
a safe place to be?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And do you have brothers and sisters?
No.
And so it sounds like a pretty good friend that you were on the high school team where you had this aunt. So there's some friends in that period. Or?
Yeah, there were a lot of friends in high school. Yeah.
Okay. And how about in university?
That tapered off. The stress of school, all the work. I was in engineering. Then I went into finance. It was always too much work.
And over that period of your life, any other things happening that were formative? Were you single or?
Got married
And how old were you
right
when you
after 30.
And was that to your wife, Kelly?
Yeah.
And how is that relationship?
It's been good. She's gone back to school, and it's been challenging with the layoff 5 years ago. And finances have been a big stressor over these last 5 years.
Okay. Right. So let's go back here to sort of when you were getting married. So in your 20s here, from end of university through all the way through that period, were you fairly stable on your weight during that?
Yeah, I'd say by the time I got my degree, I was about 190.
Okay, so a little bit of mild increase there. And okay, and then what happened to you health-wise in here in your 30s?
Well, I worked a lot, but I was busy, and I had a group of guys, and we would stay active. And once a week, we would play some basketball. So it was pretty active, and I think I put on a few pounds in the 30s, but it was always easy to just kind of overlook it. It wasn't significant, and it was steady. Yeah.
Okay, and so
I didn't use the scale much in my 30s.
and so you were how much would you say you were?
I think maybe by the time I was 40, I was probably 200.
Okay, so pretty
Yeah.
static.
Yeah.
And during that period, did you guys have your children then, or?
Yep.
And when were they? How old were you when they were born?
37 and 39.
So then, what happened in your 40s?
Well, everything was continuing fine, but with the recession 5 years ago, I almost kept my job, but I did lose it. And I didn't realize how much of my identity was attached to my job, and I couldn't even deal with being able to get a job fairly quickly and making so much less. And for long, I didn't want to get out of bed to go to work. So I went through a real dark place, and I saw this study, the new treatment for depression, and that was when
And you were 49,
things turned.
right?
Yeah.
So this was around 49. And so, and this was pretty profound depression. And so what happened with your weight during the 40s to that point?
I never felt full. I felt happier when I went on. It was a combination. The one was an antipsychotic and the other one was just a depressive, I think. I don't even remember what. I was just so relieved that I felt different on this study. But I couldn't feel full. Any meal I was eating, I would eat faster and twice as much easily in any given sitting. So I just could never feel full.
Okay.
I think I put on 40 pounds before I knew it, and I stopped playing basketball because my knees were starting to act up. And I didn't really connect everything.
And then what happened?
So I went off to study because I was starting to feel uncomfortable with all the weight I had put on so quickly. Didn't go on any other medication because I felt good. And that was when I started struggling with trying to lose weight. I just couldn't lose it. But I did manage to stick to a program. It was Atkins high protein diet, and I dropped a lot of weight. I went down to 210 within, it felt like, a couple months. So
rapid.
Yeah.
Rapid.
Yeah.
Rapid. Okay, so pretty extreme. And then what happened?
Well, when mom passed, I tanked again, and I was really nervous about. I didn't even realize I was doing it, but I was eating because I felt so empty. I went up over 250. I think I was up to 265.
And how rapidly did that happen?
Well, it was fairly steady. It wasn't as quick as the first time. But I think there was like a full year of this pattern that it was hard to detect day by day. And sure enough, the day that I went up above that 250, let's just say it made my depression a little bit worse. So I don't know, I think I need to treat the depression, and I've recently lost weight again.
So what did you do to lose weight?
Well, I joined the same program that I had before.
Okay.
Because I just, my vanity was sick and tired of the weight, and Kelly was, starting to make comments, and then with this complaints about the sleep, she'd say that it's because I put on the weight that's causing my snoring. So I just need to come up with a strategy to deal with the depression, but not put on the weight again.
Right. And so how much have you lost at this point?
I'm down to about 225 now, I think.
Summarize a few items here, and then you can let me know. So, what I'm hearing here is that you were tremendously resilient in the sense that as a very young man, you were able to extricate yourself from a really challenging situation at home, and you were still able to have the wherewithal to get to hockey, participate in events, finish your high school, get to university, and it sounds like maintain some good friendships in there, but there was some struggle and challenge due to the workload and some of those items. You've had a really solid relationship with Kelly for a long time. I mean, you guys have been married 25 years now. Two great great boys. I know your boys, and they're great kids. And how would you classify your relationship with them? Is there anything going on there that's worrisome?
No, it's pretty good. Yeah, they're doing great.
It's okay. Yeah. So sounds like there's some real strengths there. You've had some good groups of friends and things as well that you've done activities with. Some of the challenges sort of currently that I'm hearing are challenges with depression, and sort of a multifactorial. You're not where you thought you would be at this particular point in your life. You'd sort of had a whole track and a whole trajectory professionally, and a big part of your identity was involved with that, and that suffered a real disruption with the downturn in the economy a couple of years ago with this job dislocation, and obviously very rapidly hired again, but not on the same track, and that's been really challenging and difficult. It also sounds like there's been challenge as well, maybe with regards to the loss of your mother, and maybe not as I initially was wondering, due to grief and loss of a parent and those feelings that one has when one is losing parents, that it's a whole stage of life which is really difficult. But that sounds to me like it's possible that it could be enmeshed in some significant traumas from...
Yeah, no one really knew. It was hidden.
Yeah. So some issues back in this space which were sort of hidden. And I think the other challenge that I'm hearing is because things were hidden, you've had a struggle with regards to asking for help, right? And so, coming to see me to talk about how you're doing emotionally has been a really tough thing. And I really appreciate the fact you're here today and that we're actually talking about it. And I want to be useful to you. We don't need to go into that today if that's not something that you feel comfortable with. But I do think that I'm really happy it's on the table, and we should reflect on it a little bit and see at some point if there's some work that you might want to do in that space, because it sounds like this is a challenge, and it sounds like from what I'm hearing you say that you've recognized that there's a connection there. The other thing I'm hearing about is there's some mechanical challenge. So we've got the arthritis, which is impairing your ability to do things. In fact, you'd very much like to get back to that cycling. And I know you enjoy your yard work, and that's a real distressor for you. You enjoy doing activities with your buddies, basketball, stuff like that. So this is a problem. And then the lack of sleep is... I'm going to have Kelly in here to do this. So the sleep we have to fix too, right? So the sleep is the issue. Does that kind of summarize a little bit this whole picture? Is there anything really missing here? Yeah. So the integration pieces, those connections that I see between, early hidden traumas, recent grief, job loss, which hit, you've crafted a sense of identity over your life, and then that's hit that quite hard. About that then. Now at this point, sometimes people want to go ahead and actually think about some actions. Some people say they want to go home and reflect on things at this point. But this is our planning action tool. So this is what are the pieces that we're going to do for this that are going to help us to get to here, to your foundational goal, right? And so we've heard a few things. We've heard that there's the osteoarthritis. We've got the sleep apnea. We've got the depression and trauma. reflect on this, is there something which you think that you might want to tackle at this point today?
Well, I was thinking of getting a rowing machine.
Okay.
I was wondering if that's something my knee could handle, if it's going to help with the arthritis or not.
There can be a bit of bending with a rowing machine. Have you ever tried one before?
Yeah, I was on one a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
And how did it go?
well, it was okay. It was different. There's a lot of technique to learn,
Okay.
so I was just really going slowly and more. I didn't want to strain myself. It was a lunch hour class
Okay.
downtown.
Okay. So there was a class where you felt that was something that wasn't as much.
I didn't go anywhere near as hard as what she was saying to do. I was,
being more mindful.
yeah, I was still sweating a lot, but I was very, very mindful.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'd be kind of nice.
Okay. So one was you wanted to get into some rowing, so increase your activity, which is great. And then I'm also drawn to the sleep apnea business. Would one of the things that we might want to do look into that a little bit?
What can you do about that?
Oh, we can do a sleep study. I can refer you. It's it's a special test where they actually monitor you overnight with your sleep, and they can tell us whether or not you're actually having sleep apnea, whether this is an issue or not. And then depending on what they find, there's treatments. I don't know if you've ever heard of CPAP machines and things
No.
like that. Yeah, there's treatments for it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't know about that, but
That might be
so
something.
yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think I have a choice. Kelly's gonna.
Okay. Well, this
If
is.
she knows, then I don't have a choice.
Okay.
You're not gonna tell her, are you?
I'm not gonna tell her, but I suspect she may come in and say, "Did he mention this?" Okay, all right. So that would be something good. And was there anything else that you wanted to think about at this point, or did you want to start with this and then come back?
Well, you said something about maybe reevaluating or picking the right medication. I think
So doing a
I
little
don't know
more.
what to do with that, but
Okay. So maybe we talk more about the depression and figure out a plan for that. Okay. So when we think about the first activity here with the rowing, can we make that a little bit more specific? So you mentioned that there's a lunch hour class. Is that the thing that you were thinking of doing for that, or
yeah, I think so.
is that?
I'd like to get one. I'd like to buy one, but I think that money's pretty tight right now. So trying the lunch hour class, especially if I can build up my strength
And give it a whirl and
Yeah.
see if that's something that really works well.
yeah.
Okay. And so you're doing it at the lunch hour class, and that's at the YMCA downtown.
Yeah.
Okay. And how often were you planning on doing that?
Well, I was hoping to try that twice a week.
Okay. And is that something that's going to be achievable to do? And manageable to do?
Yeah, it's 2 blocks away.
Okay. And how about the cost of it? I know we talked finances have been a challenge. Is the cost okay?
Yeah, the YMCA is pretty good.
Okay. And they actually are excellent with people. So the Y is actually a group that if you have a chat with the manager, if things are getting tight, they can often be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So if we reflect on that on a scale of 0 to 10, how confident would you be that this would be a doable plan to do this twice per week?
Well, I don't know if twice a week is enough, but if that's where we're starting, then I'm very confident. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing that.
8.
Okay. Right. Well, I think that sounds great. It's something you haven't been doing. It's going to get that activity going. And as I said, that's actually got some good evidence for helping depression as well, which I know you're worried about in the maintenance and everything. So I think it's going to hit a few
My only
cases.
concern is those days when I just don't get a good night's sleep.
Right. So how are you going to handle those days?
I don't know. So I'm here.
Well, that's also why we're going to get a sleep apnea test. Okay. So let's make sure we get a grip on that, because we really can't be using sleep aids and things in a person who's got apnea. So I think we really need to sort that out. and probably need to come back again.
I shouldn't take sleeping pills.
No. So we need to look into that, and maybe we can get you set up for that and get you following up pretty quick here. And that'll help us a little bit too with the plan around depression.
Is that expensive?
The CPAP machine? It is. And with your job, do you have any coverage at work?
I'm not sure. All my lifestyle spending is gone already, but like how much?
There's different kind of programs for that, and it depends. But I mean, ultimately, the cost is around $2,000. But there are different programs and stuff that we could look into where it could be amortized and things like that. So let's find out first off whether or not you've actually got the diagnosis, and then we'll try to stick a handle and figure out what we're going to do. Okay. And then with depression, so we didn't really get into that today. Are you feeling like, really in the depths where you feel like you could harm yourself? Okay. Is that something where you feel like you're okay with coming back to see me in a couple of weeks to talk about that more, or do you feel like that's something we really need to tackle today?
No, I think a couple weeks is fine.
Is that okay? Yeah. I can give you a couple of resources to check out. There's a resource which is called MoodCheck, which is an online cognitive behavioral therapy that you can check out. And then also, I know you've been to our primary care network before here in town, and we have quite a lot of classes and resources as well. My colleague here at the clinic, Darian, is our behavioral health consultant. So before you go, I'll get you a few of those resources.
Okay.
And you can explore a couple of those options, and then we can spend a little bit more time talking about it when we come back. And so the next step of this is going to be to try it and to try to track and support. And one of the things that we know for some people is, I want you to try some of these things and just reflect on what works, what doesn't for you, see how some of that is going, and we'll just kind of reflect on those when we come back together. And it's also a good idea to keep a little bit of a diary and just kind of see what's working for you, what's causing challenge, how you're feeling about your life and health. And then we can have a look at that when I see you back.
Yeah, okay, I can do that.
Okay, good. All right, well, thank you so much. That sounds great.
Okay, so can I take these?
Yeah, these are all for you, and I will get you a
these
copy.
are all mine?
Yeah, I'll get you a copy of all this, and then you can take this with you. And go from there. I'll get you the other forms that will allow you.
Okay, thanks again.
Yeah, no worries. Good to see you.
Okay.